Hey guys, so today I want to talk about Microsoft stock. And last time I talked about this company, their stock was worth around $200 flat. And one of the main points that I actually made on that video is that this stock is extremely consistent. And Microsoft is one of the biggest companies on the stock market, but it's not one of the best stocks for long term growth. However, today I want to show you guys a short term play to the upside on Microsoft and why I think they might be heading in a different direction than what they've historically been able to do in terms of long term growth. Now, if we do look at other companies like Shopify, Tesla, or Apple, they're up over 100 or 200% in the last few weeks or even months as we do recover from this economic downturn. But you can see that Microsoft is only up 50%, and that's 50% since the beginning of the year. Ever since this highs around February or March, they're up only around 35%. So it just kind of shows you that the company is extremely consistent. If you want to put your money into an asset to hold its value, then this is going to be a great pick. But if you want to put your money into a company to potentially grow in the next few years, in the next 2 years, even in the next short term 3 months, it's just not really the ideal company for a high amount of growth. However, that doesn't mean that we can't make a trade on them in the short term, and especially now with the market so volatile as we get a lot of news from this presidential election, from the Senate pick, and from the fact that our president actually has COVID. Now, one of the main things with this COVID news is that the market is going to sell off every time we get some kind of new unexpected news. And we did see that the presidential debates were kind of very unusual in the way that the presidents were, or the candidates were just talking over each other and nothing was really said about policy. So the market didn't really like that. And you can see that they sold off earlier this week. And now, after we got news that the president has tested positive for this latest disease, you can see that the market has sold off even more strongly. So, what are we really looking for in Microsoft for a trade, and for what reasons do I think it's a good position to come into? Now, what I was telling you guys in one of my last videos is that it's going to be very important to know whether a stock is in an upwards direction or downwards direction. And one of the main things I told you guys is that when a stock is in a downwards direction, it's going to be very easy to notice because we still make lower highs and lower lows. And you can see that's exactly what was happening on Microsoft as the S&P kind of sold off a couple weeks ago. And now that we're seeing a small bounce on the S&P and on stocks in general, you can see that we might have actually broken out of this trend and are now heading to the upside. Now, how do you know if a stock is heading to the upside? Well, it's the exact inverse of what I just talked about. And what we're going to be looking for is higher highs and higher lows, which you can see the stock has been hitting consistently here over the last few weeks. And that's going to be one of the main reasons why I actually think a trade to the upside is going to be beneficial here on Microsoft. Now, what levels am I watching? Key levels to watch for this stock is going to be the $200 mark. Now, you can see that in the past few weeks, we have been below the $200 mark after the S&P did sell off very strongly. However, we haven't really been below there ever since. And you can see that we've tested that level once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6, 7, 8, etc. It's just been tested a lot of times. And it's kind of funny because sometimes this round number, $200, is becoming a key resistance on a lot of other stocks. Now, with Shopify, we saw the $1,000 become a very hard price to break. With Apple, we saw the $500, and with Tesla, we saw the $2,000 and the $1,000. So these round numbers tend to be like a very strong resistance point where mentally a lot of traders are looking to this level to see whether a stock is going to continue to the upside or the downside. So that's why I really think these levels have been holding up strongly over the last few days and especially weeks here for Microsoft stock. Now, it doesn't really matter what I think, it matters what the market thinks. And right now, the market is respecting this channel between the 196 up to around the 205. And like I said, guys, this stock has been respecting this channel very strongly. Every time we're at the top of this range, they sell off. And every time we're at the bottom, it seems like there's a lot of bull pressure to head back to the upside. And like I said, we had some terrible news on Friday and the market reacted very strongly. However, you can see that the market kind of found a consolidation point here around the 207. So it's going to be very critical on Monday when we do have market open to see whether or not this consolidation leads to a period of selling off, or if it's going to lead to an upside period where we do see them retest the top of this channel. Now, two critical reasons why I think this is one of the biggest moments and why I didn't mention it back here or back here when we were also respecting this channel. Now, like I said, I think we might have a little bit of room to sell off here to around the 204 or maybe even the 202. However, once we do hit this level, look how much room to the upside we have, potentially the most room of the channel all the way to around 214. And what's going to be very critical is that we've had a long-term resistance around this 214 level. You can see that it's been tested once, twice, 3, 4, 5, etc. I'm not going to count all the times, but around 6 or 8 times. And what this means is that this is even a more critical level than even the up trading channel that we are in right now. So I think if we do break to this upside and we do break above the 214, then there's really nothing stopping us from potentially even breaking out of this uptrending channel and all the way back to all-time highs. And that's why I'm so excited about this trade on Microsoft, is because I do see the potential to break this channel. And with the amount of upwards pressure and downwards pressure that we've been seeing on a daily basis, it's going to be very hard to trade here, guys. And my number one recommendation that I can make as a friend, not as someone who's trying to take advantage or someone who doesn't know the markets, as a friend, I recommend you guys to not hold positions overnight. We don't know the extent of the damage with a lot of this news that has been coming out as far as the Supreme Court, as far as presidential elections, as far as Trump testing positive. So it's going to be very key that you are not at risk of losing a lot of money, because if the market does sell off to here and then the next day we get news that Trump just died, then you know that this S&P market, and especially Microsoft and individual stocks, are going to be selling off like mad here. And that's going to be one of the main reasons why I would recommend you not to hold a position overnight. However, that doesn't mean that we can't benefit off these intraday trades where there is huge amounts of profits being made on a daily basis. So like I said, guys, on Monday, I'm looking for the market to sell off just a bit more, maybe 2% more on the S&P. And once we test this 204 or potentially this 202 on Microsoft, I think that we are going to see a lot of upwards pressure and potentially upwards pressure all the way to around 206. And that's my prediction for Monday and all the way to Wednesday of next week. Now, if by Wednesday we don't get news of the VP presidential debates, or we don't get news that Trump is not going to pull out of the next presidential debate, which I think is on the 15th of this month, then I think we can potentially continue breaking upwards all the way to the 214 and to the upside of this channel, which would maybe even be at the 220, where we saw a lot of selling pressure over here, or who knows, even the 230 if we see some ridiculous price action happening on the S&P within the next few days. Now, like I said, Microsoft is a stock that doesn't move extremely strongly, but with this market so crazy and so volatile, it's very possible that they break this trend and just do something absolutely wild within the next few days. And that's why I think it's going to be very important to see whether or not they continue to respect this channel, whether or not this 204 and this 202 hold up. And if those two hold up, then you have to know that this is the best time to buy the dip. There's not going to be any better time to buy the dip than after this sell-off that we are seeing now, with two pieces of bad news coming in the last week. So it's going to be potentially the best time for a long time to buy the dip on a lot of these stocks, but especially Microsoft, which I see as a very consistent position to put your money into and know that you're making a good investment, especially in the long term, if you don't want to lose money and if you don't want to watch a position forever. So that's why I really want to recommend Microsoft. Like I said, the 204 or the 202 is going to be the most important levels, and all the way upside to around 216 is the next time I'm going to kind of reconsider my trade if I do get into a trade long here. And then again at the 220, where the upwards part of this channel should meet the next bounce. So just keep a close eye out, guys. Very key resistances are going to be tested within the next few days. And when that does happen, it's always going to be a great opportunity to buy or sell a stock, call or put if you are into options. And like I said, I'm watching a very long call to around the 220 range if I was seeing these channels hold up. And if we do get any type of positive news or a bounce on the S&P, and especially on the market as a whole, as well as the country and the future of the country, as you know, a lot of people trade this market as a futures market. Even though you are buying and selling a company, you have to realize that people are not going to buy a company 10 seconds before an event happens. They're going to buy them before the event happens if they think it's going up, and they're going to sell them before the event happens if they think the company's going down. Now, another key thing about Microsoft, they do have a gaming platform, the Xbox One X and S, potentially coming out soon here, and that's going to be another reason why I think their stock can break to the upside and maybe test some of these levels that we haven't seen for months, and test some of the levels that we weren't able to break in the past here. So that's why I think it's going to be very critical to come in on the upside for Microsoft and potentially look for a long trade, maybe around 3 months time. And if you are having enough money, if you haven't put your money into another stock, I think this is probably going to be one of my top 3 picks for the next 3 months, and especially for this volatility that we are seeing here, guys. So just keep a close eye out on Microsoft. I know a lot of you guys like this stock and are very long on it. So as always, guys, I appreciate the support. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.